Prepare to be dumbed down in this episode because we are looking at Beavis and Butthead. Viewers of this 90s liquid television animation tend to be split into two extremes: devotedly loving or repulsively hating. Me? Well, I think it's best I tell my experience. In 1993, I was in a middle school field trip in a room with a bunch of idiots who put on MTV and introduced me to this crudely animated cartoon about two stoners doing dumb things and laughing. I, who was, even at this young age, becoming an animation enthusiast, looked at this and said, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life." I just assumed it would go away like a bad joke. But that summer, they were everywhere. Before memes were a thing, cartoon popularity sort of spread through shirts, stickers, dolls, and word of mouth. Everybody was talking about them and their, and I very loosely say this, short films. Frog Baseball, for example, and yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. They break stuff, they burn stuff, and very obviously under some kind of influence, they laugh about everything. I just didn't get it. And then, that September, I entered high school. And I totally got it. Their adolescence behavior, the destruction, the pyro antics. This was every kid I hung out with in school. Beavis and Butthead weren't representing Generation X, they were mocking it. This was a parody. Sure enough, I heard creator Mike Judd in several interviews discussing, in his numerous amounts of voices by the way, some of the influences that these characters were from. And yeah, you totally get it. You totally see how somebody can watch these individuals, pity them at first, roll your eyes at them, and then you start snickering and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna make a cartoon about this." I can personally say from experience that is exactly how I handled every single customer that ever walked up to me and asked me something really stupid. As their popularity grew, so did their controversy, and after an unfortunate incident that really warranted that waiver "don't try this at home," a lot of their antics began to get censored. They couldn't sniff glue, they couldn't burn things, they couldn't even say the words fire, one of their catchphrases. The funny thing is, this didn't slow them down. They kept going for several years and even had a full-length movie that's so good, I actually have to talk about it in its own episode. It is amazing how I went from despising these two to almost envying them. Their breaking things, including each other, all for a cheap laugh, is almost optimistic. It's not about the malice, they're just having fun. In the 90s, when Generation X stereotypes were pretty much all miserable, these two were laughing and enjoying life. So, yeah, I envy them. As far as their animation is concerned, I once heard a critic say it looked like doodles you would do in school. Yeah, I see that, and I think any animator or illustrator can kind of respect that. Seeing their evolution of animation over the years, or even the lack of it, actually became educational for me. It's funny to think that despite what it said in the opening, they kind of did become my role models. Recommendation of these are a little hard. Gene Siskel once said that he was actually taken by their adolescence, and that is exactly how you have to watch these. If you're looking for a good cheap laugh at the generation's expense, I would give these a try and see what you think. However, if you're more interested in their older controversial work, you have to find them on bootleg tapes, but be warned, these are most definitely not for everybody. I give these 4 ducks. Check your brain at the door and have yourself a little fun.